Virgo, come in. I have something to show you today. Not something that is coming, not something that is forming in the energy, something that happened today in real conversations between real people who both have you somewhere in their daily awareness and who both said something about you that you deserve to know. Welcome, and pay close attention to this one. Two men spoke about you today, not to each other, separately, in different spaces, with different people, in different conversations that had different starting points and arrived at the same subject, you, Virgo, in one form or another, because that is what happens. When someone occupies a real place in another person's thinking, they surface in conversation without necessarily being the planned subject, but becoming it anyway, because the thoughts were already there, waiting for an opening. Let me tell you about the first one. The first man is someone who has been carrying something about you for some time, quietly, in the particular way of someone who holds things internally before they find the language for them, or before they find someone they trust enough to say the things that matter most out loud. He found that person today, or the conversation created the space for something he had been carrying to come forward. And what came forward was about you, specifically, in the most personal way. What he said was not casual. It was not the way people mention someone who exists in the peripheral of their lives without particular significance. What he said carried the weight of something that has been sitting with him and that he let out in this specific conversation with this specific person because the moment was right. For the first time in a while, he spoke about what you do to him, not in any explicit sense, in the most honest and vulnerable sense, the sense that says, this person affects me in ways I do not fully understand and cannot fully control, and have stopped trying to rationalize, because the rational explanation does not capture what actually happens. When I think about her, or when I am in her presence, or when I imagine what things could be, if I were braver, or more certain, or less afraid of what saying something directly might produce, he said something vulnerable about you to someone he trusted, because what he feels had become too large to continue managing alone. Now, the second man, who is a different energy entirely, and whose conversation was different in tone and context, but arrived at the same subject through a completely different path. This one is someone who knows you, has known you for some time, and who has been watching in the particular way of someone who respects what they observe without always having the space to say what they respect directly to you or about you, to anyone. Today he had that space and he used it not to say something romantic, but something in some ways more significant. He spoke about your quality, your specific Virgo quality, the way you carry yourself, the way you work, the way you hold your standards without performing them for anyone, without requiring that others meet them, while simply living by them yourself, consistently, quietly, without needing applause. He spoke about you with respect, real respect, the kind that is earned rather than performed, the kind that comes from watching someone over time and understanding what they are made of in the ordinary moments when no one is particularly watching. Whew. I want to stop here for a moment and say something to you directly. Before I continue, you are being seen, not in the abstract way that people say that, not as a spiritual concept in the literal way, by specific people, in real conversations. Today, you are being talked about with care and with the specific language that people use when someone matters to them, in a way that has grown past the casual into something more considered, more honest, more real, and you have no idea because you are simply living your life, being yourself, without knowing that the being yourself is producing this in the people around you simultaneously, without coordination, without strategy, simply as the natural result of who you are and how you exist in the world. Let me tell you what each of them said. In more specific terms, because I know Virgo wants the details, not just the atmosphere. The first man, the one who spoke about what you do to him, said something about your presence, specifically about the way it changes things. When you are in a space, about the quality of attention you bring to whatever you are engaged with, that is unlike most people's attention, which is scattered and distracted and only partially present. Your attention, when it is given, is complete. And he feels that every time he is in your orbit, he feels what it is to be in the focus of someone who is actually there. And the experience of that is one he has been unable to stop thinking about. He said to whoever was listening something in the vicinity of, I do not know what to do about how I feel about this person. And that admission is one of the most honest things a person can say about a feeling that has outgrown their capacity to manage it with ordinary tools. The second man, the one who spoke with respect, said something about your integrity, about how rare it is to encounter someone who does not compromise on the things that matter to them, even when the compromise would be easier or more socially comfortable or less costly in some immediate practical sense. He said, in whatever words he used, that you are someone worth knowing, worth paying attention to, worth whatever effort it takes to actually understand rather than just know superficially the way most people know most people without ever actually getting past the surface to what is underneath. He sees what is underneath in you, and he told someone about it today because it was worth saying. Huh. I want to speak now about what this means for you, Virgo, not about what it means for them or for what might happen between you and either of them, but what it means for you as information about yourself and how you exist in the world and what you produce in people simply by being who you are. You have a way of mattering to people that is not manufactured, not performed, not the result of any specific effort to be memorable or significant, or the kind of person that others think about long after the interaction has ended. It is the natural result of being genuinely yourself with the specific qualities that are yours: precision, integrity, the quality of your attention, the way you hold yourself in situations where most people would compromise or lower their standard or simply give in to the path of least resistance. You do not, and people notice, even when they do not say it to you, they say it to each other, as happened today. Virgo, I want to say something about the doubt that might be living in you right now. As you listen to this, because Virgo and self-doubt have a particular and familiar relationship, the analytical mind that is one of your greatest gifts is also the mind that can turn on itself. That finds the counter arguments to every positive claim about you. That has a list of evidence against, ready to be deployed. The moment someone says something good, that feels too large to accept without qualification, I want to ask that mind to rest for a moment, just for the length of this message, and to let what I am saying simply be what it is, without the counter arguments, without the qualifications, without the careful list of reasons why what two men said about you today might not fully apply. Let it apply fully, without condition, for one message. You are thought about, talked about, respected and felt and considered by people who have had the privilege of encountering who you actually are and recognizing what that is worth. Two of them spoke about it today, separately, without knowing the other was doing the same, both arriving at the same conclusion through completely different paths. That conclusion is, Virgo, you are remarkable in the specific and undeniable sense that two people who barely know each other said so on the same day, in different conversations, with different words, pointing at the same thing. Whew. Let that be enough for today, without requiring further proof, without asking for additional evidence. without the Virgo mind running its usual audit on whether this is actually true. It is true. They said so, independently. Today, and you, simply by being you, made it worth saying